Ethan Harper adjusted his slightly wrinkled tie in the elevator mirror as it climbed to the 42nd floor of Sterling Dynamics headquarters. At 34, he looked every bit the part of a man who'd spent the last 7 years piecing life back together, short cropped hair starting to gray at the temples, steady brown eyes that had seen too much, and hands that still bore faint scars from gripping controls under fire. His daughter, Lily, 6 years old and full of questions, had kissed him goodbye that morning with peanut butter on her cheek. "Don't forget to smile, Daddy. People like smiles." He'd promised he would. This interview was for a senior logistics coordinator position, nothing glamorous, but steady pay, benefits, and daytime hours so he could be home for her bedtime stories. After the Air Force separated him quietly, civilian life had been a grind of night shifts, odd jobs, and daycare juggling. This job could change that. The receptionist led him to a sleek conference room where 3 people waited, HR manager Ms. Patel, a technical director named Reynolds, and at the head of the table, Victoria Sterling herself, the CEO. Mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper reputation. Sterling Dynamics built next-gen drone systems for defense contractors. Victoria had taken the company from startup to billion-dollar valuation in under a decade. She didn't suffer fools. Ethan sat, offered polite handshakes, and answered the standard questions. Education, community college, then Air Force training, experience, logistics in high-pressure environments, availability, immediate. He kept it humble. No need to oversell. Then Reynolds leaned forward. "Mr. Harper, our systems rely on flawless coordination under stress. Tell us about a time you handled a real-time crisis." Ethan paused, choosing his words. "In 2018, I was part of a joint operation in the Gulf. We had a drone swarm malfunction, AI override failed, birds got too close to the formation. We had 30 seconds before collision with civilian airspace. I rerouted 3 assets manually while maintaining radio discipline. No losses." Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Impressive. What was your role exactly?" "Test pilot and mission coordinator," he said simply. Ms. Patel smiled politely. "We see here you left the service in 2019. Why the long gap in relevant employment?" Ethan met her gaze. "Personal reasons. I became a single father. My wife passed during deployment. I chose to prioritize my daughter." A flicker of sympathy crossed Reynolds' face, but Victoria's expression remained cool. "Admirable. But this role demands total commitment. No divided attention." "I understand," Ethan replied. "Lily comes first, but I'm ready to give this everything." The questions continued, technical but surface level. Then Victoria slid a tablet across the table. A live feed showed a simulation, a drone fleet in formation, one unit drifting erratically. "Quick scenario," she said. "You're in ops. Telemetry shows hydraulic failure on lead drone. Override locked. Collision imminent in 40 seconds. What do you do?" Ethan studied the screen for 5 seconds. "Switch to manual backup protocol Alpha 7. Divert secondary power from Wingman 2 to stabilize lead. Initiate emergency descent vector 214, altitude drop to 800 feet to avoid radar overlap. Radio call, lead, this is control. Break formation, Angels 8, vector 214. Confirm." Victoria's fingers tapped once. "And if the pilot doesn't respond?" "Then I assume command voice override. Call sign required for authentication." She tilted her head. "And yours would be?" Ethan hesitated. He hadn't spoken it aloud in years. The room felt smaller. "Ghostwalker," he said quietly. Victoria froze. Her face drained of color so fast it looked like someone had pulled a plug. The tablet slipped an inch in her grip. Reynolds frowned. "Ghostwalker? That's Classified, Victoria cut in, voice tight. She stared at Ethan like she'd seen a ghost. Because she had. 7 years earlier, during a black-budget test over the Nevada range, an experimental autonomous swarm had gone rogue. Glitch in the neural net. 3 drones turned on each other, then vectored toward populated areas. Official report, system failure, pilot error blamed on the lead operator to protect the program. The pilot had been forced to eject after overriding manually and saving the mission, but at the cost of his career. Dishonorable discharge paperwork buried under NDAs. The call sign Ghostwalker was scrubbed from records. Only a handful of people ever knew it. Victoria Sterling had been project director at the time. She'd signed the order that ended his career to save the company's future contracts. She recovered first, clearing her throat. Everyone out. Now. Ms. Patel and Reynolds exchanged glances but left without argument. The door clicked shut. Victoria stood slowly. Ethan. Captain Harper. I thought you were. Dead? He gave a small, tired smile. They tried to make me disappear quietly. I let them. I had a 4-year-old waiting at home. She walked to the window, arms crossed, staring at the city skyline. I read the after-action report. You saved 3 civilian aircraft and an entire school bus tour below. Then you took the fall so the program could continue. It was the only way, he said. Lily needed a father, not a headline. Victoria turned. Her eyes were wet, but she blinked hard. We erased you. I approved the classification. I told myself it was for national security. It was, Ethan said without bitterness. I don't blame you. I made my choice. She laughed once, hollow. And now you're here, applying for a desk job like none of it happened. Logistics coordinator, he corrected gently. Steady hours. Benefits. I can take Lily to soccer practice. Victoria studied him for a long moment. You could have come in here guns blazing. Demanded compensation. A settlement. Revenge. I don't want revenge, he said. I want to provide for my daughter. That's all. She nodded slowly. Then she picked up her phone and dialed. HR? Cancel the rest of Mr. Harper's interview process. Offer him the position, senior logistics lead, full executive benefits, starting salary $185,000. And add a discretionary bonus for prior service. Backdated. A pause. Yes, effective immediately. She hung up and faced him. You start Monday. But there's one condition. Ethan raised an eyebrow. You report directly to me, she said. Not because I want to keep an eye on you. Because I owe you the chance to shape the systems that nearly killed you. We fix what we broke. Together. Ethan exhaled. For the first time in years, the weight on his shoulders felt lighter. I'll think about it. No, she said firmly. You'll accept. Because Lily deserves more than just steady. She deserves a father who isn't hiding anymore. He looked at the city beyond the glass. Somewhere out there, Lily was coloring pictures, waiting for him to come home and tell her he got the job. Tell HR to make it $195,000, he said. And flexible hours for school events. Victoria smiled, the first real one he'd seen from her. Done. As he stood to leave, she stopped him at the door. Ghostwalker? He turned. Thank you, she said softly. For back then. And for today. Ethan nodded once. Just doing my job, ma'am. He walked out of the building into the afternoon sun, phone already to his ear. Lilybug? Daddy's coming home early. And guess what? We might be moving to a bigger place soon. Behind him, in the tower, Victoria Sterling sat down heavily, staring at the name on the offer letter, Ethan Harper. The call sign that had haunted her for 7 years had just walked back into her life, not for vengeance, but for a second chance. And somehow, that was harder to face than any ghost.